Hey MVPs, RicoKnows here. Going to talk to you guys about the futures bet, and you see it here. It is Florida State. They have it over under 9.5 wins. Remember, this does not include the conference championship, and this does not include the bowl game or the playoffs. So Florida State, are they going to win 10 games or are they going to win less than 10 games? That's what this really comes down to, and you see it here. You're getting plus money if you think they're winning 10 games or more. You're getting... They probably see them in the 9-win range down here if you look at it. So let's go look at Florida State as a whole. They just got done winning their entire season, regular season in 2023. And when you look at the position group, we know the deal. Jordan Travis is gone. Backup quarterbacks are gone. Brock Lynn's still there, but Tate Rodemaker left for Southern Miss. And all they have is DJ Uiagalelei coming in. And how good is DJ Uiagalelei? Well, if you go look at his stats, very average production. It was actually slightly worse at Oregon State than it was at Clemson. It's not terrible. We just see no growth. Doesn't matter. This is his third offensive coordinator, third team. We'll see what happens. I'm not too intrigued by the DJ Uiagalelei transfer. And we look at running backs, losing Trey Benson. This is a great running back. A quality running back, Mr. 14 touchdowns, and you're replacing him with Lawrence Stafili here, the backup running back. Very little tread on the tires. Granted, he was slightly injured, and they're bringing in another running back from Alabama. I'll show you Roydell here in a second when I go look at transfers. Another guy that's left is Rodney Hill. This running back, he left. He went to Miami. Then he changed his mind, went to FAMU. We don't know where the kid's going. I think he's going to FAMU, but more power to him. Keziah Holmes, a kid who was at Penn State, couldn't start at Penn State, transferred back to Florida State. He's going to be the third string running back this year. CJ Campbell Jr. there, hit the portal. He's gone. Can't remember where he went. He'll show up on the transfer chart when we get there. When you go look at receivers, top 3 receivers, all gone. All transfers, all gone. Kyle Morlock, that's the kid from Division II Shorter. He's the #1 leading returning receiver at 255 yards. You have Ja'Kai Douglas. I will be going over the depth chart here in a second when I show it to you guys. I'm not intrigued by their wide receiver core. I'm not. There's no way it's comparable to last year's receiver core. We're talking about NFL talent at all 3 positions, a 4th position, and a 5th position. If I can tell you guys what this reminds me of. This reminds me of TCU getting to the national title game, getting blown out, and losing 8 draft picks. And then coming back the next season, and in the preseason polls, everybody ranked them except for me. I refused to rank TC in the top 25, and I was right. I said they're going to win maybe 4 or 5 games, not go to a bowl game, and that's exactly what happened last year. I was 100% right about TCU. I don't even make videos on it. I don't even go out there and tell the world I was right about TCU because it was so blatantly obvious to me. In the preseason, I told everybody, I told the world, TCU is not going to be good. Rico, they were in the national title game last year. Does not matter when you lose that much NFL talent, and I feel like Florida State has lost the same amount of NFL talent. I really do. And you don't recover from that. You aren't great. So what we need to do is understand that with their all-time great team, with all their NFL talent, they still went to overtime with Clemson. They still struggled to beat Boston College on the road. They still only beat Miami by a touchdown. There were very competitive games in here when they didn't have all the NFL talent. And the team you saw in the bowl game and in these last 2 weeks here is the team they have, with the exception of the new transfers. What you saw on the field is what they have. Remember when Florida was losing to Oregon State 2 years ago in the bowl game? Florida was losing 33-3. And everybody's going, well, they had 21 opt-outs. I said, I don't care if they had opt-outs. That's what they have on the team. That's what Florida State has on the team. So unless you believe DJ Uiagalelei is that NFL prospect and he's going to come back next year, I don't like where Florida State's going. I want you to go back to 2022 and look at 2022, and this is what it looked like when they didn't have all that NFL talent. They found themselves losing 3 games in a row, losing to teams they shouldn't lose to, like Wake Forest. Oh, how'd you lose to Wake Forest? Well, they had Sam Hartman, right? They had Perry. Just 2 guys on offense were able to outscore you? Yeah, we struggle on offense. It doesn't look good. I'm telling you right now, get used to this Florida State caliber team as opposed to last year. Last year, everything came together. I don't see everything coming together again, personally. So let's go back and look. Transfer portal. Who do they lose in the transfer portal? Just some depth. Like I said, at running back, Rodney Hill. I don't think he's going to Miami. He's going to FAMU. Dennis Briggs going to Illinois. Not a big deal. shout out to him. Just never saw a lot of playing time at Florida State. Gilbert Edmond, stud transfer last year, 4-star, coming out of South Carolina, going back home, got minimal playing time. He was probably going to see the field this year. Probably was. Dylan Brown-Turner had no business going to Florida State. It was a late offer, and he went, and he obviously realized, I can't see the field. I need to go back to Texas. He's going to UTEP. Preston Daniel, not a big loss there. Golden Lawrence, can't get in the starting lineup. None of these guys matter. Tate Rodemaker leaving. Malcolm Ray learning face first. I need to go somewhere else. Sapp was also going to go to FAMU. Then he flipped to ECU after Coach Willie Simmons left. Tafasi, this is a bad loss. This is a good player. He can be in the rotation. He's going to contribute. He's a huge body, 6'5", 300 pounds, going to Georgia Tech. It's a bad loss there. Not a big deal. A quality running back. Shout out to C.J. Campbell, former walk-on, going over to FAU. We'll see what that's cracking. Bless Harris used to start at some point in his life. Now he's at TCU. A.J. Duffy never saw the field. Didn't belong there. Probably going to give the SDSU job a shot for its money. Backup tight end. He just got passed up on the depth chart. Shout out to Douglas. Go do your thing at Arizona State, but he's not a bad player. All in all, just lost some depth and nothing great. But you lost players to the NFL draft you can't replace. That's a fact. Who did you bring in? I'm not moved by Jacob Rizzi. That's just depth. People will get you excited about Sean Murphy. I'm not. I'm not excited about certain players who couldn't play at Alabama. You can't play at Alabama. You can't play at Florida State. That's the harsh reality of the situation. I need everybody to understand that. You got a backup lineman in Richie Leonard. I don't see him starting. Roydell Williams will get carries. He will, but he's not dynamic. He doesn't wow me. He doesn't pop on tape at all. Terrence Ferguson, an offensive lineman. Terrence Ferguson, I think he goes by TJ, one of the main guys that got all these Alabama players to come over to Florida State. But they're just role players. They're nothing special. I like Sione here. Tommy Wadurge's got a shot to be great, just not this upcoming year. I think in a couple of years. Okay, Malik Benson, number 1 JUCO wide receiver, told me he was great. I looked at Alabama wide receivers. They weren't good. And Malik Benson's the best guy you're bringing in on the skill side of the ball. I hope he's great. It's his last year of eligibility. I've seen 13 receptions out of this dude. Nothing to write home about. Devontae Brown, transfer from UCF, started there for 30, 40 games, went down to Miami with his little brother. Turns out he couldn't play. 10 tackles all year. I still think he's a quality player. I think it's a good addition to the secondary. And by the way, I like the secondary at Florida State. It's pretty solid. Jalen Lucas, if he's in your starting lineup in any way, shape, or form, if he's seeing the field, you're not as good as you think you are. This is a skill player from Indiana. Okay. At best, a 3-star kid, and that's exactly what I see. 5'8", 175. He's joining his brother on the team. I don't see it. I don't see how this guy becomes anything of the skill players you just lost. You're not replacing some of the skill players you just had with Jalen Lucas. Grady Kelly didn't stick out to me at Colorado State at all. This transfer is coming back home. You just need bodies. You need scout team. You need players. Doesn't move me. Jaylen Brown is stupid fast. Blazing fast. This is a great get. Jaylen Brown, if he can get in the rotation somehow, some way. He went to LSU, realized they don't use all the receivers. It's like, man, let me get out of here. Stupid fast. Return game on point. I like everything about Jaylen Brown. The upside is huge. Is he Keon Coleman? No. But the upside is there. Earl Little, you couldn't play at Alabama. You can't play at Florida State. I actually think Earl Little is the 6th best corner on the team right now. Does not move me. Marvin Jones will be in the rotation. This is your starting quarterback. Marvin Jones will be in the rotation. Okay, congratulations. DJ Lundy's still there. He'll be in the rotation, though. But I'm telling you, man, it just feels like you replaced NFL talent and great players with okay players. That's how I feel about it. So pretty much talked about the entire depth chart here. Not impressed with Pointer. Douglas is actually a quality player. Ja'Kai Douglas can play some football. Malik Benson, I don't believe in it. I think the most upside here is Destin Hill. If you don't remember, Destin Hill was actually one of the star players in 2020. One of the top-ranked kids coming out of high school, and he never enrolled at Florida State, even after signing with them for 2 years. And then he magically showed up last year, and he started playing, and he eventually got there. But there was some rust. You got to learn how to play at a collegiate level. You got to learn offensive schemes. And there was some great players, right? Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. So now that the great players are gone, and you're left with this, you got Deuce Spann, and you've got Destin Hill here, and I believe those guys should get in the rotation and should be more dependable. I like Hakeem Williams as well. We'll see what happens in the spring. We'll see who really separates themselves. Offensive line, I think it's a pretty good offensive line. I think it's cool. They're senior seniority. What's wrong with me? Their seniority here. Jones is a transfer from Auburn. Jeremiah Byers is a transfer from UTEP. They've been here a couple of years now. They've been in the system. I believe in this. Huge drop-off in talent at the tight end position. They're not Jeremiah Bell. Nope. Not happening. Running back, tailback. Well, I don't know what this is. They got two different positions here. It's all the same to me. You got one running back, and you got two role players splitting time at running back. Roydell Williams is cool. I like him, but he was going to get passed on the depth chart by Haynes in a hurry at Alabama. Defensive line, a NFL defensive lineman in Patrick Payton. I love everything he does. He's got length. He bats down the balls. He's a good player. Joshua Farmer, not impressed, but he's there. He's a big body. Miami transfer, Jackson, cool. All these are transfers in the yellow here. Cool. DJ Lundy coming back, quality linebacker, third on the team in tackles. I don't see how Sean Murphy is this impact linebacker like you think. Cryer over here, it's sad they don't have transfer. He's a transfer from Northwestern. Shout out to him. He left Northwestern last year after the coaching debacle. I like Cryer's tape. He's a kid from Houston. Frencho Cypress, top-notch corner, over 10 batted passes. I think he might have had 15 2 years ago while he was at Virginia. This is a good player. Devontae Brown, like I told you, I believe in his seniority, and he's a good player. This is the best corner I see. Thomas down here, Azrae. When I turn on the tape, bro, that kid can play football. His brother plays for the Cowboys. He actually was an undrafted free agent, and he made the team in a secondary that's got defenders that are all pro and everything. He still made it among all of them. And Earl Little doesn't really move me like that. I like Greedy Vance. I like some of these other players. But still, it looks like a significant drop-off from this last year. So, going through the record, going through the schedule. They go to Ireland, first game of the year, and they're playing Georgia Tech. I got news for you guys. I really like Georgia Tech. I really do. Haynes King is an X factor. I love Georgia Tech's coaching staff, the way they play. I like everything about Georgia Tech, and at every position group, Georgia Tech got better this offseason. Georgia Tech got better this entire offseason, and I just believe in them. A team that's getting worse versus a team that's getting better, I think they got a shot. But even if you don't think Georgia Tech's winning this game, more power to you. They did not play each other last year, so as Florida State ran the table and won all those games, they did not play Georgia Tech. They don't know what it is to try to stop a Haynes King. A Singleton. I know what we're talking about here, bro. Jamal Haynes. It's a good team. Boston College doesn't look good. They got O'Brien as their new head coach. They got some players, but I don't think they'll be competitive against Florida State. Give me Memphis, bro. Give me Memphis to go out there and actually score points against this Florida State defense. I like Memphis in this game. We'll see what happens. Okay? But even if you think Florida State's winning all three of these games, Cal can score with them. SMU can score, and you're going to be at home with SMU. These all look like difficult games to me. You're not beating Clemson. I think Clemson's better than Florida State. Clemson has a third-year starter at quarterback. He's been in the system the whole time. I think he's more dependable, and he was winning the job over DJ Uiagalelei. That's why he left. Okay, so Cade Klubnik's going to do this. I love the defensive talent they have on this team. I like Clemson. Phil Maffa to just run all over them. I think Clemson wins the game. You're on the road at Duke, on the road at Miami. I like Miami in this matchup. Shout out to Cam Ward. I like Miami in this matchup. North Carolina, you can probably beat them. At Notre Dame, I like Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame a lot in that matchup as well. I think it's real as long as they're healthy, and I like Florida. So I feel like what people need to understand is when you do an over-under for 9.5 games, you need 10 wins. You can only have 2 losses. Where are my 2 losses? I see Clemson and Notre Dame as losses. Then all you need is one more for the rest of the season, and you bet the under. All you need is one more loss out of Georgia Tech, Memphis, SMU, Duke, Miami, and Florida, the Gators. I know, Florida's not good. Well, most SEC teams aren't good, and then they beat their rival. Ask Kentucky and Louisville last year, right? Florida only lost by 7 points last year. I'm just telling you, when you get towards the end of the season here, what kind of depth do you have? What do you have going on? I like Florida, Notre Dame. All you need is a coin flip here. 2 of these are going to happen. You need 3 losses on the whole record. I like the under for Florida State. And I know that sounds crazy to some of you because you're like, no way, they're going to win these games. I see a decrease in talent at every position group. At every position group, with the exception of probably defensive line, because Jared Verse, oh my God, it's a huge reduction in talent. Probably is secondary. I'd say the secondary is the only place where they didn't reduce in their talent from this past year. I got FSU winning 9 games in the regular season. In the regular season, 9 wins probably gets them in the playoffs. Who knows? Depending on what the ACC standings look like. But I like Clemson to win the whole ACC this year. So I got Florida State at 9 wins. That's an under. It's a future bet. It's a 1-unit bet. Good luck, MVPs. Shout out to you. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.